Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, OEM Membrane Sealing and Handling in Medical Device Manufacturing. I'm Cassie Soltman of LabRoots, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. Today's educational web seminar is presented by LabRoots and brought to you by Pall Medical, now a part of Cytiva. To learn more, click on the company logo or scan the QR code on the interface. We encourage you to participate today by submitting any questions you may have during the presentation. To do so, simply type them into the Ask a Question box and click Submit. You may also use the Ask a Question box to let us know if you are having any trouble seeing or hearing the presentation. Questions submitted will be answered via email following the broadcast. Joining us today is Jacques Hestres, Product Manager, Medical OEM Membranes at Pall Medical, now a part of Cytiva. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Jacques.
All right, thank you, Cassie. We want to extend our appreciation to you for taking time from your busy schedules to join our webcast. We look forward to receiving your feedback and encourage you to contact us with your questions. Our agenda for today will include an overview of Pall Medical and our portfolio of membranes and other microporous materials available for customers through the Medical OEM channel. We will then move on to the main topic of sealing methods and technical assistance. As we begin our discussion, we would like to first give you a brief introduction to Pall Medical and the types of materials and products that we offer. Pall Medical was originally a division of Pall Corporation, a company founded over 75 years ago by Dr. David Pall. Today, as a division of Cytiva, it continues its trajectory as a world leader in the design and production of microporous materials, filtration devices, and separation systems. Pall Medical Solutions, in conjunction with Cytiva Technologies, enable customers to accelerate and deliver therapeutics. Our proven track record in technology and innovation, manufacturing excellence, and regulatory compliance is recognized worldwide and serves as a testament of our commitment to our customers in the markets that we serve. With Pall Medical, you gain an established global company. We're a multi-site manufacturing organization with an impressive portfolio of products, quality systems, and experience to meet the diverse requirements of your internal and external customers. The manufacturing facilities supporting Pall Medical products maintains certification to the ISO 9001 quality system standard. The medical device manufacturing facilities are FDA-registered establishments qualified to manufacture and distribute medical devices and comply with FDA Quality System Regulation 21 CFR 820. Additionally, these facilities maintain QMS certification to ISO 13485 and the Canadian Medical Device Conformity Assessment System. At Pall Medical, we know you're counting on our ability to supply products that meet the quality and performance standards you demand and to work within your budget and timetable. Our original equipment manufacturer, or OEM, business approach is founded on 4 core competencies. First, Pall Medical offers the broadest selection of membrane and microporous material chemistries, which ensure optimal performance in your application. Second, we also have the capability of combining the right membrane with the right device platform to get you the best combination for your filtration, separation, purification, or detection application. Third, expert testing and scientific support is available from dedicated locations across the globe. And last, our global manufacturing network, as well as experience in regulatory compliance, enhance the reliability of our customers' operations. Our broad portfolio of filtration, separation, and purification solutions are used in life sciences applications throughout the globe. From drug research and development to production, from diagnostics testing to reducing the risk of infection in infusion therapy and venting applications, our products are key to processes and materials that make our world better. The application areas listed here are a sample of those for which we provide solutions. drug delivery or infusion therapy, protection of patients, healthcare workers, and equipment from airborne contaminants, as well as components for medical sets, laboratory and diagnostic sets, and biopharmaceutical processing are all areas of critical importance that require filtration or separation solutions to achieve the desired results. Our OEM solutions are used as a component within our customers' marketed products or as tools in the manufacturing and quality assurance of their bioscience products. Now, as you may expect, different applications will have different filtration requirements. Pall Medical offers a wide selection of filtration, separation, and purification materials to help you optimize your product performance and minimize your development project cost. In this slide, we list the products available on an OEM basis to Pall Medical customers around the world. Each of these materials was specifically designed to meet the filtration requirements in medical or healthcare-related applications. As you can see, our portfolio of OEM membranes and microporous materials includes a selection made from various polymer types. These are available in different pore sizes, surface characteristics, and packaging formats, such as rolls, sheets, or round discs. The unique physical characteristics of these materials allow our customers to choose the product that best suits their processing and application needs. Among these, you will find hydrophilic materials, which are typically used in liquid filtration applications, as well as hydrophobic filter media used in venting and gas filtration applications. Some filter membranes are unsupported, while others have a support for increased mechanical strength and better handling characteristics as required by certain processing requirements. Depending on the product type, the support material may be internal, that is, within the structure of the membrane, or external, as in a laminated product, where a membrane is adhered to a non-woven material. The images on this slide give you a microscopic glimpse of the physical differences found in the structures of some of these materials. What are some of the advantages of using Pall Medical materials? First, we design and manufacture the largest selection of microporous materials. We offer a wide range of material performance and surface chemistry characteristics to meet a variety of application requirements. Third, compatibility with multiple sealing technologies and sterilization methods. Fourth, assurance that many of these products have been used extensively for more than 30 years in the manufacturing of FDA-regulated devices. And last, our products are manufactured to exact specifications and under strict standards. The widespread use of Pall Medical materials by leading medical device companies around the world not only supports the reliability of our product's performance against published specifications, but also speaks to the robust nature of our quality systems. Now, our expertise also does not stop at the design and manufacture of microporous materials. We also design and produce filter membrane-based devices, which are the ultimate representation of Pall Medical's engineering and technological capabilities. This is where it all comes together: high-performing membranes, flexible housing configurations, and finished devices designed to deliver efficient, safe, and reliable performance. From this experience of sealing filtration media to different plastic housings, we will now move to the focus of this presentation in sealing. We will discuss 4 common methods used in the industry for sealing microporous materials to plastic housings. These are heated die, ultrasonic welding, mechanical pinch, also known as ring mold, and radio frequency or RF welding. Before we start, we'd like to point out several critical factors that should be considered when sealing microporous materials into a plastic part, as they contribute to the success of the sealing process. Among these are the following. First, we have the environmental conditions of the process area. When evaluating the optimal process parameters for sealing a microporous material, one must pay attention not only to the specific sealing method, but also to the environmental conditions in which this process will take place. Environmental factors such as temperature and relative humidity in the process area could have the potential to introduce variability and challenges in sealing the membrane to the device. Also, surrounding work areas as well as parts of production equipment which are exposed to the components of the device, from the filter membrane to the housing subassemblies, as well as the finished devices themselves, must be maintained clean and free of particulates to minimize possible sources of contamination during the assembly process. The filter housing must also be free of silicone-based mold release agents, as these agents can interfere with the sealing process and contaminate the liquid or gas to be filtered. In second place, there's the handling of the material throughout the process. When handling the filter material, we strongly recommend that the operators always wear protective personal equipment, or PPE, such as powder-free gloves, gowning, and hair covering. The use of PPE will help reduce the risk of introducing unwanted particulates and/or contaminants to the surface of the material that may ultimately transfer to the finished device and potentially downstream of the filter once the finished device is in use. For example, skin oils from the hands have the potential of adversely affecting membrane properties. Static can also create a series of challenges. Therefore, static eliminators should be considered in the processing of rolls of filter material, as well as in the handling and placement of the disc or coupons from the filter material into the device. The aspects of the process that moves the filter membrane along also plays a part. For example, tension control becomes an important factor, particularly in the processing of rolls of unsupported membranes due to their delicate nature. The adequate calibration of these controls will ensure proper tracking of the filter material throughout the process while preventing issues such as tears or creases. In addition, the area of the membrane within the device that will perform the filtration or separation function must be isolated from pressure forces that could compress its structure. As you saw in the microscopic images in a previous slide, these filter membranes are not a solid film, but rather have a high percentage of void or empty volume that could be compressed, resulting in a change or reduction in its performance. Next, there's the integral properties of the filter material. Evaluate the material properties and gather data that you can correlate the performance of the initial lab or bench testing to the expected performance within the finished device. Also, consider if there's an optimal orientation to ensure the device meets its specified performance claims. As mentioned earlier in the discussion, within our portfolio of microporous materials, you will find supported and unsupported products. The presence and the location of the support will determine many of the material's sealing and handling characteristics. If the support is external, it is best to orient the membrane so that the external support is positioned downstream to the filtration flow direction. This serves to maximize the material's resistance damage due to pressure and provides a greater distribution of flow channels. Sealing will need to occur between the support material and the plastic well of the filter device as well as the membrane layer. Therefore, the process conditions must take both materials into account. And lastly, we get to the design of the device housing. As you integrate the sealing of our filter material into the design of your device, you need to ask yourself several questions, such as, what is the composition of the housing and filter membrane I'm attempting to seal together? Are they similar materials? How different are the thermoplastic properties of these components going into the device? Is the sealing method I'm considering compatible with both the housing material and the filter membrane? Is the design of the sealing surface adequate to ensure a strong seal without damaging the membrane or creating excess splash? And how will the filter material be held in the device during the sealing process? Careful consideration of these different aspects will help avoid pitfalls further on in the development process, as well as once it is in the production stage. To expand on a few points with regards to the ceiling surface, it is important to provide a radius to the edges of the housing that are in contact with the filter material. Sharp edges could potentially cut or tear the membrane and result in weak points in the seal area. In addition, we recommend you evaluate the seal area to minimize flash or excess molten plastic material from the housing that could either interfere with the sealed area or, in the case of small parts, reduce the effective or open filtration area of the membrane. There is some lateral or side-to-side flow in most media. However, providing a support grid in the downstream housing will significantly enhance the flow performance and throughput of a media. Lastly, parallelism in the alignment of tooling to the housing part and fixture is critical. A misalignment could result in stressing the housing and damaging the filter membrane, as well as producing an uneven seal. Molded parts should be designed to eliminate or minimize these areas of stress and sinks. Finally, the properties of the housing material. It's important to keep these in mind when determining seal temperature, time, and pressure. Again, answers to these questions will lay the foundation for establishing a successful device design and sealing process. So moving to the sealing methods. You will notice that there are three parameters that are common to all four sealing methods. These are energy input, affecting the temperature of the components, time of exposure to sealing conditions, and assembly pressure holding the parts together, also referred to as force on the part. The specifics around each of these three parameters used for each of the sealing methods will vary, as they are dependent on the properties of both the filter material and the plastic housing to which it is being sealed. Now, the first method we will discuss is heat sealing. In most cases, this will be the recommended membrane sealing method. Now, heat sealing equipment may vary from model to model, and most models share these specific four features. Number one, controls that monitor the time, temperature, and pressure of the equipment, a heater block and a heater block insulator assembly, a heated die that contacts the components during the heat sealing process, and a nest or part fixture that will hold the device housing and filter membrane components during the heat sealing process. Now, with the heat sealing, it is possible to form two different types of bonds. The first type occurs if the filter and the housing material have similar thermal properties. In this type of seal, the material and the housing will melt together to form a molecular bond which is very secure. The second type of bond occurs when the housing material melts at a lower temperature than the membrane. In this situation, the molten plastic from the housing penetrates the structure of the filter material, forming a mechanical bond. And this type of bond relies on the strength of the plastic that interconnects with the physical structure of the membrane. The following general heat sealing guidelines apply. A plastic housing to which the microporous membrane is being sealed should have a melting temperature similar to or lower than the melting temperature of the membrane. If it's higher than the membranes, you may run into an issue where the membrane could be damaged. You should also consider keeping the geometry of the membrane coupon simple, such as a round shape. Having a circular geometry will serve to evenly distribute the stresses on the membrane during the sealing process, as well as during the application use. Next, note that an adequate seal area width is important. We recommend widths ranging from 50 to 125 thousandths of an inch. The coupon should lay flat on the entire surface when sealing is to occur. Sealing areas that cause the media coupon to dome or wrinkle will not produce a consistent, reliable edge seal. Cycle times with this method should be monitored and not exceed over 1.5 to 2 seconds to avoid damaging the membrane's working filtration area. Also, consider the use of a nonstick coating on the tooling to prevent the edge of the membrane coupon from sticking to the heated tool during use. And finally, the relationship between time, temperature, and pressure for your specific process must be optimized through experimentation. You may find, for example, that larger membrane devices with a corresponding large seal land may require higher pressures and temperatures than smaller devices. I'd like to point you to the image at the bottom right of the slide, which shows the difference between a partial seal and an integral one. A usual indicator of a good seal is transparency in the seal area, as you can see the one to the right there. Also, the bond strength between the media and the housing surface can be evaluated by attempting to manually pull the media away from the sealing surface. So what types of microporous materials are most compatible with heat sealing? The list is broad, as it includes PES or polyether sulfone, PTFE, acrylic copolymer, polysulfone, nylon, and ultrafiltration membranes. We would also include PVDF and glass fiber as compatible with heat sealing, but we want to make you aware that the conditions in which these areas can be sealed can be somewhat challenging due to their physical properties. The housing materials that demonstrate the best compatibility with heat sealing with these microporous materials are listed here and include acrylic, polypropylene, polyethylene, ABS, polystyrene, PVC, and EVA. The second sealing method in our discussion is ultrasonic sealing. Ultrasonic sealing equipment will also vary somewhat from model to model. The basic components that you will find in this equipment include an air cylinder, which applies the pressure, a converter or transducer, a booster, a horn, and a nest that holds the housing components in place during the processing. What happens during ultrasonic sealing? During an ultrasonic weld, the electric energy is converted into a mechanical motion. During this method, the combination of the following creates the environment that produces the weld or seal. In first place, the frequency of motion of the tool, which refers to the number of repetitions or cycles that occur during a set period. Ultrasonic welding or welders are typically available in 20 and 40 kilohertz frequencies. Next is the amplitude, which refers to the length of travel or motion of the tool during the cycle. The distance of travel per cycle is adjustable, and the degree of adjustment depends on the combination of booster form and input power supply used. As a guideline for devices that are under 1.5 inches in diameter, we suggest 40 kilohertz power supply. For larger diameters, we recommend a 20 kilohertz power supply. The length of the sealing time, and then the pressure the tool is applying to the seal area. Some advantages of this sealing method include a quick cycle time. So that is typically set like tenths of a second. So it is quicker than heat sealing. There's also a reduced risk that the membrane will stick to the die. It's easier to automate, and there's typically less tooling maintenance. This type of system can be quite reliable. However, you should be aware of, obviously, of certain challenges that may be encountered when using an ultrasonic welding method. These include the potential for membrane damage due to the vibration, high stress on the membrane and or the housing, and particulate generation from these components. So the following general guidelines apply. Experience suggests that reducing the amount of process steps minimizes the risk of damaging the membrane during the welding. So use as few process steps as possible. Next, when evaluating frequency and amplitude settings, using a high frequency and low amplitude setting is more likely to yield a successful result. We also want to avoid long duration weld times at high amplitudes or gain. Care should be taken to provide a smooth transition from the seal area to the interior surface area of the housing encapsulating the membrane. Also, to maximize transmission of energy that results in a good weld, make sure there's a proper assembly and alignment of the ultrasonic welding tooling within the housing. Otherwise, what can result is an incomplete weld, as well as the risk of increasing stress on the housing and the membrane. We recommend sealing to an energy director rather than a wide, flat surface. These energy directors should have a radius to avoid a sharp edge that may damage the filter membrane when ultrasonic welding the membrane directly to the housing component. You can see that from the pictures on this slide, there are radiuses on the tops of each of these circular energy directors. And lastly, successful ultrasonic sealing requires the user to optimize the equipment's frequency and amplitude during the process development, and then ensure these conditions can be sustainable during production. Ultimately, because there can be differences in ultrasonic welding equipment design, we recommend that you consult with the equipment manufacturer to assist you in determining your tooling needs. The manufacturer will be the expert in their equipment and be able to provide the settings and tools that work best for your application. As far as the types of microporous membranes most compatible with ultrasonic welding are PES, PTFE, acrylic copolymer, and nylon. Glass fiber-based materials are not considered compatible with ultrasonic sealing because the vibrations can damage, and sometimes quite easily, the structure of the filter material. The housing materials that demonstrate the best compatibility with ultrasonic welding include the variety listed here: acrylic, polycarbonate, polypropylene, polyester, nylon, ABS, and HDPE. Next, we will discuss insert or ring molding. This process incorporates overmolding the housing components and sealing the filter material in one step. In this sealing technique, the filter material is either held in place physically between the housing components or placed directly and held in place inside a mold with cavities that allow the molten plastic to flow and mold around the membrane. After this, molten plastic is forced into the mold, flows within the cavity around the edges of the membrane and housing. This results in forming an integral plastic seal containing the filter membrane. The advantages of insert molding includes the ability to seal most microporous materials. There's better adaptability to membrane thickness variations. It can incorporate sealing of both halves of the device housing and membrane in one step, as well as improving the robustness of a device so that it can withstand high-pressure processing applications. Some general guidelines for ring molding include minimizing the pinch force applied to the filter material to prevent damage of its pore structure. Avoid venting hot gases from the process through the filter material to reduce the risk of damaging the membrane during the sealing process. And be aware of certain physical challenges you may encounter with insert molding. The device housings tend to be typically bulky. Also, this is a slower process than the other methods we have discussed so far, and the equipment for injection molding can be significantly larger than the previous methods, just to accommodate for the intake of the plastic resin, as well as the mechanical components for melting the resin and pumping it through the molds. Most types of microporous materials are compatible with insert molding. The materials you may want to avoid or just exercise additional care are typically those without a support, such as PVDF or glass fiber materials. The housing materials that demonstrate the best compatibility with insert molding, these microporous materials are acrylic, polyethylene, and polypropylene. And now the last of the methods we will discuss today is radio frequency, also known as RF welding. RF uses electrical high-frequency energy to create heat, which melts the housing plastic, while applying pressure to the assembly for a controlled period to perform a seal. Think of it as a type of a microwave oven. While microwave oven frequencies are tuned to heat water, RF sealer frequencies are tuned to heat up dielectric plastics. RF welding only works with thermoplastics that have a high dielectric constant, a factor determined by the molecule's geometry and dipole moment. RF equipment can also vary somewhat from model to model. The basic components you will find in this equipment include a high-frequency generator, a pneumatic press, a preheater, an electrode that transfers the radio frequency current to the materials that are being welded, and a welding bench or nest that holds the material in place. The advantages of RF welding include the ability to focus the heat at the welding target so that the surrounding material is not exposed to high heat, therefore reducing the risk of burning the material. In second place, heat is generated only when the field is energized. This allows for greater control over the amount of energy that the filter membrane and housing sees over the entire cycle. One other aspect is that the heat from the RF process does not radiate off the plates like other heated surfaces, like the first method we had discussed. This prevents heat degradation of the filter material bordering the seal area. Successful product and process designing with the use of RF incorporates the following. Ensure the membrane is enclosed between the plastic components. Consider longer seal times at lower energy levels for better control of the sealing process. And design the mold to minimize electrical ray arcing. Just like with ultrasonic, we recommend that you consult with the RF welding machine manufacturer to assist you in determining the optimal equipment, tooling, and parameters to meet your desired outcome. RF sealing can only be used with materials having the correct dielectric properties, such as PVC and acrylic copolymer. Materials you may want to avoid or at least exercise additional care are electrically conductive materials such as carbon. The housing materials that exhibit the best compatibility with this method include ABS, acrylic, PET, which is polyethylene terephthalate, PVC, and EVA. Polymers that are not compatible with RF sealing methods are olefins, polypropylene, polyethylene, styrene, silicone, and urethane. And with that, we want to thank you again for joining us, and we want to encourage you to contact us to discuss your filter membrane and application requirements at any of the email addresses indicated below. You may also access additional information on our microporous membranes on the Cytiva website. Thank you very much, and I'll turn it over to you, Cassie.
Thank you, Jacques, for your informative presentation. We would also like to thank LabRoots and our sponsor for underwriting today's educational webcast. Before we go, I'd like to thank the audience for joining us today and for their interesting questions. Questions submitted during the live and on-demand period will be addressed by the speaker via the contact information you provided at the time of registration. This webcast can be viewed on demand. LabRoots will alert you via email when it's available for replay. We encourage you to share that email with your colleagues who may have missed today's live event. Until next time, take care, everyone. Goodbye.